Episode 2. Dylan, welcome back. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great because we got an absolute banger. Put your legs down so they can see you. Oh, maybe we should put Trump's legs down as well. Since I mentioned his name, what are we going to be talking about today?
Trump's tariffs.
Tariffs. Can we hear fucking cheer from the crowd, please? Okay, should we just hop right into it?
Yeah.
Hop right into it. Okay, Trump's tariffs. Where did it all start from? April 9th, Liberation Day, as Trump called it. He just decided to put tariffs on everyone. Some may say Trump was just on smoke. He probably had a bad day. He just decided, right, let's put tariffs on absolutely every country I see. Yeah? Did you see that chart? You know the chart he pulled up of everyone and all the list of tariffs?
Of course.
Of course. You quickly give a 60-second explanation on what tariffs is before we jump right into it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say his name is Bob. Should we use Bob as an example? Okay, Bob goes to the supermarket. Usually he wants to buy this remote controller. Let's say he pays £10 for this remote controller. Here you go, Dylan. Sell Bob the £10 controller.
Here you go, Bob.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The tariffs come along. So I'm going to put a 20% tariff on you. Act a little shocked.
Oh no!
So what's going to happen?
The price will rise.
The price will rise. Tariffs act as a invisible tax onto the firm because it's like an extra cost of production. They now have to pay 20% of the price just to export it to Bob's country. Where are you from, Bob? Let's say Slovenia. Now, for you to export to Bob, you're going to need to pay 20% tariff, which means you're going to raise your prices. And now, let's say, where's the remote control? Try sell this to Bob again. How much are you going to make him pay?
£12.
That's the problem with tariffs, guys. That's the most immediate problem, which is obviously the price increase. But there's so much more damaging stuff that is behind tariffs, not just price increases and risk of inflation, which is basically what we're going to go into today. A little bit of economics, A-level economics. What type of inflation could this risk? Cost push. Let's go, Dylan. Come on. Okay, but first, obviously, Trump is imposing these tariffs probably with some thoughts in his mind. Like, he's not just doing this for the fun of it, right? So, Trump, why are you imposing these tariffs? What's the benefits behind it? Exactly. Nothing. Trump, what he's thinking right now, he's thinking he wants to protect his domestic industries, yeah? He wants to make sure they can create and grow and become a big firm without the threatening competition from overseas firms, right? But what's the problem behind that? First problem, consumers have reduced choice. They're only going to get American goods. They're not going to get some nice German cars. But obviously they are, but it's going to cost way more. But also, these tariffs are not going to be here forever, no. They're going to have to be pulled down eventually. And these firms in America, they're not going to be ready. And they haven't been pushed by competition enough to be more productive, more innovative. So what's going to happen is when the trade barriers go down, they're going to enter the global market without the competitiveness that they need to operate, basically. And what's going to happen? They're going to fail. They're just going to go down to crumbles. And also, it's not just people inside the tariff-imposing countries that are affected. It's not just the American consumer. Britain, where we're from, we have 25,000 jobs in car manufacturing at risk just because of a 20% tariff on British manufactured cars. That's affecting jobs in the UK. 25,000 people are at risk.
And their families.
And their families, 25,000 people. Let's say half of them are dads or mums. Their kids, they're cooked. So cooked. This is so impactful. Trump doesn't understand how negative these tariffs can be.
Trump, you're so stupid.
Trump, you're so silly, bro. So silly. Well, Dylan, should we go back to the main first point we said about tariffs? Why are tariffs bad?
For obvious reasons, as there are many. For example, there will be legal and global trade issues. There have been a large rise of tension with the World Trade Organization, and there have been trade wars with China, utilitarianism, Trump acted without Congress or coordination with allies. He just did what he wanted. He thought he was king.
Exactly, he just went out of his way, put tariffs on everyone, especially with global tensions rising right now. Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Palestine, now India and Pakistan, your country.
Yeah.
So much tension. These tariffs are not going to help. Especially tariffs on so many countries. It's not just China. It's so many. Britain, Mexico, Canada. And you think they're just going to take it? These countries are going to have the tariffs. They're going to say, yes, Trump, I'm going to pay you extra 5%, 20%. What do you think, Dylan?
No, they're going to say, fuck you, bitch, and put a little 20% on them.
Well, let's just say they're going to retaliate with more tariffs, which means costs around the world will just increase, risking cost plus inflation, which is not good. Or the value of money decreases, And also, let's touch on reduced choice. The consumers have a reduced choice, which means the entrepreneurs, the F students, they're not going to have as much innovation to create and to do one of the factors of production, which is entrepreneur. You know, you're going to have reduced choice of product, and that can actually reduce innovation, reduce entrepreneurialism, just very, very negative as a whole. So Dylan, what's another very negative impact about tariffs? Even the Republicans, they're worrying right now, what is Trump doing? They voted for Trump. And now he's been a silly boy. Trump, you've been a silly boy. What are you doing? Why are you just imposing tariffs on everyone? Another very harmful impact of tariffs is specifically on small firms. You know, small firms are very, very highly impacted. SMEs in the UK, 59% of them say they rely on trade with the UK, with the US. You know what that means? 59% of firms, these small firms in the UK, are at risk because of these tariffs, which can really push down production in the UK as well. Economic growth can be stagnated, especially because of these rising costs and inflation. Growth and inflation. Am I hearing a bit of stagnated growth?
Despite these tariffs, the US trade deficit still continues to grow somehow. So Trump's ideologies are still clearly not right. So I don't know how they've allowed this fool to be their leader.
That's true. The government's meant to be getting increased revenue because of these tariffs. And Trump actually claimed, I think it was $2 billion he's gained from tariffs, but the trade deficit is still negative. No, not negative, but there's still a trade deficit, which means what is he doing? He's not benefiting. And as we can see in 2019, when there was America and China conflict, when tariffs were imposed back then, there was $455 billion lost in output. That is significant. That's really damaging for an economy. So really, when you think about Trump tariffs, don't just think about the increased costs. Think about the harms it gives to businesses. Think about the lower income groups. Lower income groups, this cost is more proportion of their income. So these tariffs act as an invisible tax onto the consumers, which means they'll be very harmly impacted. Their costs will rise, which means their standards of living will increase, and their quality of life overall will decrease as well, along with happiness index, welfare, so many factors.
I agree.
Now, our next Neekonomics episode, what are we going to talk about?
TBD.
What's TBD?
To
be determined. Stay tuned on our Twitter page when we figure out what we're going to talk about next on our Neekonomics episode.
Let us know what you want to hear about. Check our TikTok for short explanation videos.
Check our TikTok for more content. Check the Twitter for updates about future episodes we're releasing. And thank you very much for listening to our second episode of Neekonomics. Should we end it there?
We should.
Say bye, Trump. Say bye.